So it happened. Daniel Jacobs failed the same day weigh-in, and he now faces a penalty. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We got to get into it. Tonight, Canelo versus Jacobs. Now, we got to break this stuff down, people. Canelo versus Jacobs is going on. Good middleweight fight to establish the numero uno. They just did a same-day weight check, which I got to elaborate on. So there's pieces of information that aren't entirely true that are, coming from members of the media, coming from the fans. This particular fight, the IBF title, the IBF champion is putting his title on the line. That's Danny Jacobs. He beat Sergey Derevyanchenko for it. So there is or was a same day weigh-in. That was not per the IBF. Once again, that was not per the IBF. A lot of people keep saying that the same day weigh-in was a result of the IBF, but they did away with that same day weight check. As you guys can see, IBF, look, and the crazy thing is you got people who are spreading misinformation, and this has been a thing since, look, this was August 2017, so this has been this way for a while. IBF cuts same day weigh-in, same day weight checks for unified title fights. Guess what? Canelo beat Gennady. No, guys, hand max. It's nothing. It's punches. It's tick, 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 tick. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of Triple G, he's working with Jonathan Banks as his trainer. But Canelo beat Triple G for his titles, the ones that he had. Triple G didn't have the IBF title because he got stripped because he didn't fight Derevyanchenko. And Jacobs later fought and beat Derevyanchenko to become IBF champion. So as you guys can see, the IBF has done away with their same day weight checks. A lot of people keep saying that this fight had the IBF weight check. And I know this for a fact because I was at this fight. When Terrence Crawford and Julius Ndongo met for the undisputed junior welterweight world title on Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska, neither fighter was required by the IBF to participate in a weight check the morning of the fight. So that's even an example fight for you, as is part of the sanctioning body rules. The IBF decided to end that practice for all unified title fights, beginning with the rare 4-belt unification between Crawford and Ndongo. Quote, second day weigh-ins will remain in effect for all other IBF bouts, IBF President Daryl Peoples told ESPN. We changed the second day weigh-in for unifications after we received a request from one of our members. We had discussed changing the rule prior to the request. So basically, in a unification where you're unifying with other people's belts, the IBF is the only one that does the same day weigh-ins, right? So in a unification where other belts are at stake, those other belts like the WBC and WBO, WBA, they don't mandatorily make their fighters, or their champions, I guess is a better way to phrase it. They don't make their champions do a same day weigh-in. It was just the IBF. So if you're trying to unify and there's multiple belts at stake, they did away with it because, if you have the WBC and the WBO and, the other belts outside of the IBF, then you don't have to weigh in. You don't have to do the same day weigh-in. So it kind of makes it unfair. You're already a champion, and you're trying to unify with another champion, right? You're subject to the terms of only one sanctioning body, which is the IBF. So they did away with it. When Gennady Golovkin faced Danny Jacobs, another fight that I went to, that's another reason why they changed it, because Danny Jacobs, it was highly publicized, and it kind of leads me and segues into what we're talking about now. In that fight with Triple G and Jacobs, Jacobs elected to not fight for the IBF title and to fight for all of Golovkin's other belts. Golovkin at that time had all the belts except for the WBO, which at that time Billy Joe Saunders had. You follow me? So Jacobs said, fuck it, I won't fight for the IBF, and then I could just miss their same day weigh-in check because they're the only ones that do this. But, you know, it was a good fight, close fight. He still had him losing. Now, fast forward to the future, Jacobs, again, for whatever reason, has elected to not adhere to the same day weight check. But the same day weigh-in was put in place by Team Canelo. This was written into the contract. This wasn't IBF rules, as I just showed you. This wasn't part of the deal, because this is, again, a unification. So they wouldn't, unless somebody wrote it in the contract, which Golden Boy and Canelo strategically, because as you see in this picture, Jacobs is the bigger person. So they wanted to tame how much weight he rehydrated to naturally. They wanted to leverage that and, you know, in essence, control to some degree, you know, give him a cap off, you know. But it didn't work because, as you guys can see, which leads me perfectly into this, Jacobs fails weight check, Canelo fight is still on. So he did it again, what he did with the Triple G fight. It says Jacobs fails weight check, Canelo fight is still on. From Dan Raphael, link in the description, you know, per usual. Danny Jacobs badly missed weight at a contractually agreed upon weight check on Saturday morning ahead of this fight with Canelo Alvarez. The fight to unify their 3 middleweight title belts is still on for later. Well, yeah, this would be a nightmare if they cancel the fight. So I think Jacobs knew that, and he seized the opportunity, because if they cancel the fight, like, oh, we ain't fighting him, because Jacobs, we'll talk about, I'll give you my thoughts in a minute. Jacobs will still be eligible to win the titles, but will take a financial hit and has angered Canelo. Jacobs was 173.6 pounds, well over the 170-pound rehydration limit that they had in place in their contract. Alvarez came in 169, Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya told ESPN. Both sides initially told ESPN that there was a confidentiality clause in the contract that prevented either side from publicly disclosing the same day weight check weights, but De La Hoya later went on record about it. Quote, Jacobs came in heavy. It is what it is, De La Hoya said. We spoke to Canelo and his attitude is, I don't care. I'm still going to kick his ass. Canelo is pissed off and he wants to kick his ass. Canelo was 169 pounds solid and feeling stronger than ever. But the fact that Jacobs came in heavy tells you a lot. It tells you how unsure he is in himself. They both made the 160-pound middleweight division limit Friday afternoon, with Alvarez weighing 159.5 pounds and Jacobs weighing 160. But they were subject to a weight check at 8 a.m. p.m. PT in their respective hotel suites, with the member of the other camp on hand to observe. So, you know, just like when they're getting their hands wrapped, somebody from the other team goes and watches like this. A contractual clause demanded by Alvarez's team because of Jacobs' size advantage, but Jacobs either could not or did not want to hold his weight down and put himself at a physical disadvantage by being weak for the fight, so he was not even close to 170. De La Hoya declined to discuss the financial penalties and specify, but a source with the knowledge of the deal told ESPN that because Jacobs was over, he is subject to a $250,000 fine per pound plus the infraction thereof that he was over 170 pounds. That means Jacobs would be fined $1 million, people. Wow. That means Jacobs would be fined $1 million from his guarantee of more than $10 million. So I guess his 2.5 million is what they disclosed to Nevada. But I guess somehow, even with the stream, even though it's not a pay-per-view, when it's said and done, you know, I guess DAZN is promising him more. I don't know how it works with the stream versus pay-per-view back end, but that's what they told Nevada. I made a video about it, and they're saying he's guaranteed at least $10 million. Although his promoter Eddie Hearn of Matchroom said Wednesday that he might pay for the fine if Jacobs was over. De La Hoya said he understood Alvarez's anger, but he was not too upset over it. Quote, "My thought is as long as both guys made 160 and Canelo looked the stronger fighter during the weigh-in on Friday, that's all that matters. We have a fight." Jacobs' camp declined to comment immediately following their weight check, citing the confidentiality clause, and they could not be reached after De La Hoya's public disclosure. It was not the first time, and then they talk about the Triple G shit. So, my thoughts. Jacobs, I think this is a strategy. I think this is mental warfare. I think he's trying to piss Canelo off or get under the skin like, aha, you did all this A-side shit and I still didn't listen. And my promoter's backing me up. So that's what I think is going on. De La Hoya saying it's because he's unsure. I think it's to mentally fuck Canelo, mind fuck him. Because it's like a slave or something revolting against the massa in the sense of there are certain rules that you're to abide by, established by the establishment, established by, the A-side or whatever you want to call it, right? Since Barry Hearn using slave references, might as well throw a similar metaphor in there. So now the massa is saying, go outside and do. And the person's standing up saying, no, I'm not doing it. You just got to do whatever. Like, remember Glory, Denzel, when they was whipping it, and he was, yeah. And they kept whipping him, and he just ate it. So that's what that's what comes to mind for me. I think that Jacobs is just like, man, fuck it. He ain't the boxing god. I'm gonna come in comfortable, either that or maybe he couldn't make the weight. Like maybe he was like, man, after I ate, I was something crazy and I'm not gonna get on a treadmill and, be in the sauna and stuff. I already made the weight. And there's a couple of problems with this. This is what happens when, and I told you guys, this new media shit is so funny how I say this stuff and then it comes true. I feared this was gonna happen. And I told you guys this. And this is when you abuse this A-side shit, this is one of the things. Now you got people, it's not even working anymore. Like, I get it. You want, your name billed first and certain things like that. But I told you, Canelo has a lot of weight stipulations. Either bringing up smaller guys like Josecito Lopez and Amir Khan, fighting several fights from Angulo all the way to probably Amir Khan, all at 155 catch weights, bringing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to 164.5, putting a rehydration stamp and clause, same day weigh-in that otherwise wouldn't have been the case, to a champion Rocky Fielding at 168. Jacobs wouldn't have to wake up and do the same day weigh-in, right? Do the same day weigh-in because this is a unification, putting that on him, and now it's backfiring, and it's being met with resistance. And I think it's good. I think it's good because this A-side shit is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand in terms of the fighters trying to manipulate the board and think they could control everything that the sanctioning bodies aren't even doing. Like Jacobs and Canelo are responsible for making the contracted weight. That's really it. They both did that. Jacobs was at a flat 160. Canelo came in like 159.5 or whatever it was. So their job is done. But instead of that being it, you tack on this other thing because you feel Jacobs is bigger than you and you want to, say fuck that, put a cap on it, and it backfired because he did the same thing. And, with reckless abandon, he said, fuck it, I'm do what I want. Came in almost 4 pounds, heavy. And he would have that luxury. See, people are going to make it like Jacobs is cheating like they did with the Triple G fight. But if anybody's cheating, it's Canelo, it's Golden Boy, because they're the ones mandating some shit that nobody else would have to do. When Canelo fought Mayweather at a catchweight, all Canelo had to do, I was born ready, was make the contracted weight 152. Mayweather on top of that did not tack on, the next day you can only weigh 162. So Canelo was able to eat and replenish and drink liquids and eat carbs and carb up and all that to his little heart was content. But they're putting on these added precautions and, safety nets and added measures to some of these big fights. And this is one of the results. People find loopholes. People, dismiss it. People are like, man, fuck that. I'm going to do, no one else is making me do this. When I fought Derevyanchenko, it was like a middleweight fight, these things. Triple G didn't impose. He was the A side over Jacobs. He didn't impose no same day weigh-in or anything like that. That was imposed by the IBF, right, at that time. So, it really is backfiring. So they're going to have to think it through, because what you wanted Jacobs to do, he refused and rebelled against. And now we know they're not going to cancel the fight. That would be horrible. DAZN and AJ versus Miller gets canceled. Gerald Miller fails a drug test. That gets canceled. So for a fight of this magnitude to not go on, and I think Jacobs' team knows that. They know, and Eddie Hearn said he'll help or he'll pay the fine. So now it's like, damn, it's a mind fuck to Canelo. It's a mind fuck. Like, damn, he just disrespected it. That's why they're saying Canelo's pissed. So let's see how Canelo fights pissed. You could say, oh, it's not right, Jacobs is not professional. You could make an argument like that because he agreed to it and then didn't do it. But I don't know the details, so I'm not gonna go too far down that road. His body, Jacobs is a big dude, I know dude, you know what I'm saying? Like Big said, Pac's a strong dude, I know dude. Like, he's a big dude, so his body might have rejected that. It's already enough sacrifice just making the initial 160. Most of these fighters, their walk around weight is much bigger. Like if you see guys in their off season, when they're just at somebody else's fight, just supporting or just watching as a spectator, their face looks fuller. And then you see them with the weigh-in, their cheekbones be like real high cheeks and shit, like Michael Jackson and doom doom and Thriller and shit. So it's different. So, these fighters make enough sacrifice just to even get to the weight that they fight in nowadays. This is not the throwback days where, the guys, the heavyweights be 189 pounds and shit. It's a different time. So people pack on size and have to cut all that. And then Canelo's on some Willie Beeman shit. My name is Willie Beeman. Who got the ladies? Got them screaming, and all the fans, I got them screaming, you can defeat me, yo dreaming, what, Canelo's making his own plays, like Willie Beeman, but the downside to this is they did agree to it. Jacobs, went rogue and went AWOL from that plan. Now, for such a big fight, he's facing $1 million penalty. I don't know, like I said, Matchroom, maybe they're going to help him pay it. I don't know. But more so than that, what I care about, because that's their business, about this is a penalty he has to face for failure to appear or failure to do it. And the reason I think it was a message, though, is because you could have maybe even just not let them in your room and say, I'm not weighing them. But he wanted that to get back to Canelo. He obviously, if you miss weight by, some out of 3.5 pounds, 4 pounds, it's going to get back to Canelo. So I think it was a big fuck you, and a message to Canelo, like, you in for a real fight, psychological warfare. But the downside to it is casual boxing fans are going to be like, oh yeah, no, he's cheating. He's not cheating because Canelo made these rules up, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't abide by the rule that Canelo made up. That's what you could say. But that's the downside, is now the results may feel tainted if in fact Jacobs wins. It's not a given. There's still a chance Canelo just, this anger is like mounted and built up, and he's a very good fighter, very skilled fighter. This might enrage and incite him to, you know, produce a tour de force performance. We don't know. But the downside is if Jacobs wins, you know, some people may use this and say, he didn't shoot the fair one. But if you really break it down, he did shoot the fair one. It's just that Canelo's team tried to throw in an added precaution and extra rules that weren't established by anyone other than them, you know, and that's the argument you would have to make. So I just hate for a big fight to be shrouded and covered with some type of potential controversy of who did what and blah. I just want to see a good fight, the best versus the best. But these are the politics in the new age of A-side and, you know, power moves and all this shit. So Jacobs, he missed weight the same day weigh-in imposed by Golden Boy and Canelo. He's still fighting for all the titles. And see, that's another reason, you know, that he didn't quote unquote cheat, is because if the IBF had the rule and he didn't abide by it, he would not be eligible for the title. That's how that works. Like, there's been fights where fighters fight, the fight goes on, but they can't make weight. They can't even win the title even if they win, you know? So that's how you know this is a Golden Boy Team Canelo rule. Because if it's a IBF rule, if it's an actual if it's in the jurisdiction of the actual belt, the actual sanctioning body, and you don't follow the WBC's rules, you don't follow the IBF's rules, etc., you will be stripped, or the belt, you won't be eligible for it. So the fight's going on, and Jacobs, as you've seen in the article, is still eligible for every belt. So he just has to pay this fine, and monetarily he's been, you know, penalized. So I don't know. I think this was a strategy. That's my thoughts. I want to, you know, let's see how it plays out now. Jacobs did the fool again. He took Canelo on a ride. We'll see how Canelo responds, but, you know, protect yourself at all times. I don't know what to say. Kind of like when you see someone try to touch gloves when the round after the bell rang, and then someone just try to swing at them crazy. It's a fuck you like that. You know, you trying to touch gloves and they try to hit you with an overhead right, try to take your head off and shit. So I think it was just a big FU from Daniel Jacobs. Like, you don't run boxing. You in for a real fight, homeboy. You know, he came in heavy, and, you know, he didn't feel two types of ways about it. And you know, to be honest, I don't, you know, it backfired. That's the best way to put it. Canelo and him and, you know, all this like A-side shit, it backfired. That's the only way to put it. It backfired. You're used to controlling the board, and, you know, Rocky Fielding and all these other dudes and Chavez Jr., you know, they're consummate professionals and they do whatever you say. And then now it backfired because Jacobs once again made up his own rules. Like, you making up your own. So, you know what I'm saying? It's really like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, fight fire with fire. Canelo made up his own rule by imposing this. Jacobs made his own rule by not following through. So, you know, it's like, where do you draw the line in saying who's right, who's wrong, when they both kind of, for strategic edges, they both have done the same thing. The only thing is Canelo did it on paper and Jacobs did it in a more of a rogue way. Let me know what you guys think. That's my official breakdown. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button if you're new. Consider subscribing to the channel Canelo Jacobs Tonight.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.